8.5 hours. That's how long Kilauea did not stop. Not for a single second. Episode 44 has just fired lava fountains reaching heights of up to 300 meters into the sky. That's nearly 1,000 feet of liquid fire shooting straight up. And it didn't just stay on the volcano. Tephra, volcanic rock fragments, ash, and molten debris, has been raining down toward populated areas. This is not a drill. This is happening right now on the big island of Hawaii. And guys, when I saw the footage the first time, I had to stop. I had to look again. Because what Kilauea is doing right now is not normal, even for Kilauea. And I have to say, the people living near this volcano right now are dealing with something that very few humans on this planet will ever experience. Let me show you exactly what is happening, why it's happening, and why this particular episode is different from everything we've seen in this eruption series so far. So let's set the scene. Kilauea Volcano, Big Island of Hawaii. Summit Caldera, Hale Ma'u. This is where episode 44 erupted. The eruption began, and within minutes, lava fountains were already climbing. Not slowly, not gradually. They exploded upward. And over the next 8.5 hours, they did not stop. The Hawaiian Volcano Observatory, HVO, has confirmed that this episode produced fountain heights of approximately 300 meters. That's 984 feet, nearly the height of the Eiffel Tower, shooting upward in fire. Now here's where it gets serious for the people living nearby. Tephra. That's the word you need to understand right now. Tephra is everything a volcano throws into the air that is not gas. Rock fragments, molten lava blobs called Pele's tears and Pele's hair, volcanic glass shards, ash. All of it was launched into the sky during episode 44, and some of it came down over communities, not just on the crater rim, not just on lava fields, over towns. Residents in areas downwind of the summit reported falling debris on their properties, on their roofs, on their cars. And guys, breathing this material is dangerous. SO2, sulfur dioxide, was being pumped into the atmosphere at extraordinary rates during peak fountaining. HVO reported SO2 emission rates during recent high-activity episodes reaching into the tens of thousands of tons per day. That gas, when it mixes with moisture and oxygen in the atmosphere, becomes volcanic smog. They call it VOG. And VOG does not just smell bad. It causes respiratory problems, eye irritation, headaches. For people with asthma or heart conditions, it can be life-threatening. And further in this video, I'm going to explain exactly why episode 44 was so much more powerful than the episodes that came before it. Because there is a reason, a geological reason, and it tells us something important about what may be coming next. Now let's talk about the people, because behind every eruption number, there are real families, real homes, real lives being disrupted right now. Residents near the Kilauea summit, in communities like Volcano Village, have been living under ashfall advisories. Some woke up to find a thin gray layer coating everything outside. Others reported the smell of sulfur so strong it came through closed windows. One resident described it, and I have to say this stayed with me, as feeling like the mountain was breathing directly into their home. That is terrifying. And then there are the sounds. During high fountain episodes, witnesses near the crater reported deep booming sounds, vibrations through the ground. Not just shaking, a low, rolling pressure wave you feel in your chest. Now think about this. You live here. You chose to live near one of the most active volcanoes on Earth because it is also one of the most beautiful places on Earth. And one morning, your entire sky turns orange. Your air turns thick. Debris is landing on your roof. And the mountain has been doing this non-stop for 8.5 hours. What do you do? Where do you go? Hawaii County Civil Defense has been issuing advisories. Residents have been told to limit outdoor exposure, to keep windows and doors shut, to use air purifiers if they have them. But guys, you cannot fully escape a volcano that is right there. You cannot put a window between yourself and 300-meter lava fountains. And that's the reality these communities are living with right now. Before we go deeper into the science, can you do me a favor? If you're finding this useful, if this is giving you information you are not finding anywhere else right now, give this video a like and a hype. Share it with someone who needs to know what's happening in Hawaii. Leave me a comment. Tell me, would you live near Kilauea? Could you handle waking up to this? It helps the channel enormously and it costs you nothing. Okay, let's get into the real story here. Because to understand why episode 44 hit this hard, we need to talk about what is actually driving this eruption series. So let me explain the episode system first. This is not Kilauea suddenly waking up. This is Kilauea in the middle of an extended eruptive sequence inside Halema'uma'u crater. The current eruption cycle began in late 2024, and since then, HVO has been tracking individual eruptive episodes, each one numbered. Episode 1, Episode 2, all the way up to Episode 44 and beyond. Each episode follows a general pattern. Magma accumulates beneath the surface. Pressure builds. The eruption breaks out. Fountaining begins. The episode peaks. Then it pauses. Then it starts again, right? So you might think, okay, episode 44 sounds like just another episode in a long series. But here's what makes this one stand out. 8.5 hours of continuous fountaining and fountain heights of up to 300 meters. That combination, duration plus height, tells us something very specific about the magma supply driving this episode. Let me break this down in a way that actually makes sense. Think of the magma system beneath Kilauea like a pressure tank. Not a tank with one valve, a tank with multiple chambers, multiple pathways, and a summit reservoir sitting at the top. When an episode starts, the valve opens. Lava rushes up, fountains form. Now, the height of those fountains is not random. It is directly related to how much gas is dissolved in the magma. Specifically, water vapor, carbon dioxide, and sulfur dioxide dissolved under enormous pressure deep underground. When that gas-rich magma rises rapidly toward the surface, pressure drops. The dissolved gases expand violently. Think of shaking a carbonated drink and opening it fast. That's what's happening, except the drink is molten rock, and it's going up 300 meters. So when we see fountain heights like this in episode 44, it tells us the magma feeding this episode was exceptionally gas-rich. It came up fast, and there was a lot of it. Now, the duration. 8.5 hours is significant. Shorter episodes, 30 minutes, 2 hours, suggest the available magma batch is smaller or the supply pathway is more restricted. 8.5 hours of non-stop fountaining suggests the pipeline was wide open, a sustained high-volume supply of fresh magma from depth. And guys, that matters. Because HVO scientists have noted that across this eruption series, individual episodes have been showing varying durations and intensities. The pattern is not simply becoming weaker over time. Some episodes spike higher and longer than expected. Episode 44 appears to be one of those spikes. Now, Tephra generation. This is the part that directly affected communities. When fountains reach 300 meters, the material being thrown into the air travels far before it falls. It's not just dropping straight down into the crater. Wind carries it, and the direction of the wind determines where it lands. For episode 44, wind conditions carried tephra and volcanic gases in the direction of populated areas downwind of the summit. HVO tracks this in real time. They issue what's called a VOG forecast, similar to a weather forecast but for volcanic emissions. And during episode 44's peak, the VOG index for certain communities was at dangerous levels. Now I want to take a step back, because when I see something like this, the first thing I want to know is, has this happened before? What does history tell us? So I did a little research, and what I found is important. Kilauea is not just one of the most active volcanoes in the world right now. It is one of the most continuously active volcanoes in recorded human history. From 1983 to 2018, 35 years, the East Rift Zone eruption known as Pu'u'o'o erupted almost without stopping. 35 years, guys. That's not a volcano waking up. That's a geological engine that simply does not turn off. And during those 35 years, lava flows destroyed over 200 homes, buried entire communities, including the town of Kalapana, covered roads, reached the ocean, changed the coastline of Hawaii permanently. So when we talk about Kilauea today, we're not talking about an unpredictable surprise. We're talking about a volcano with a documented, deep, sustained magma supply system that has been feeding eruptions for decades. And then, 2018, the eruption that shocked the world, the Lower East Rift Zone eruption. Fissures opened directly in residential neighborhoods in Leilani Estates. Lava rivers swallowed streets whole. Over 700 homes were destroyed. A geothermal power plant was threatened. And one of the most dramatic moments, a lava bomb crashed through the roof of a tour boat, injuring 23 people. That is the power of what we are talking about. Now fast forward to 2023. Kilauea's summit began erupting again inside Halemaumau crater. And it has continued erupting in this episodic pattern, building toward the sequence we are in right now. Episode 44 is not happening in isolation. It is part of a long, documented, scientifically understood pattern. But what scientists are watching closely is whether this eruptive energy is building or stabilizing. Because historically, when Kilauea's summit eruption intensifies, when episodes get longer, when fountains get taller, when magma supply increases, that can signal a shift. Not necessarily toward disaster, but toward a new phase. And that is exactly what episode 44 forces us to ask. So why does this matter beyond the big island of Hawaii? Let me tell you why. First, air traffic. When Kilauea erupts at this intensity, volcanic ash and SO2 plumes can rise high enough to affect aircraft. The Volcanic Ash Advisory Center monitors Hawaiian eruptions specifically because ash ingestion can destroy jet engines. During high-activity episodes, flight paths around the Big Island are adjusted. That has real consequences for travel, for tourism, for the economy. Second, Hawaii's water supply. Fog and acid rain, generated when SO2 combines with atmospheric moisture, can contaminate rooftop water catchment systems. Many rural Big Island residents rely entirely on rainwater collected from their roofs. Acid rain makes that water unsafe. This is not theoretical. This is documented, and it happens during every major eruptive episode. Third, agriculture. The Kona coffee belt, macadamia farms, papaya orchards, all sitting in regions that can be blanketed by fog and ashfall. Acid fog damages crops, leaves wilt, fruit quality drops. The economic impact of a sustained eruption like this is felt across the entire island's agricultural economy. And fourth, and this is the one that never gets talked about enough, mental health. Living under an active volcano is psychologically exhausting. The constant monitoring, the uncertainty, the emergency alerts on your phone at 2 a.m, the smell, the haze, the sound. Researchers who have studied communities near Kilauea have documented elevated rates of anxiety and chronic stress disorders among long-term residents. And I think if you put yourself in that position for even one moment, you understand it completely. This is not just a geology event. This is a human story happening right now. So what are scientists watching? What comes next? HVO is monitoring several critical indicators right now. First, ground deformation. GPS networks and tilt meters around the summit track inflation and deflation in real time. When the summit inflates, magma is accumulating underground. When it deflates rapidly, that magma is erupting at the surface. During episode 44, HVO recorded significant deflationary tilt at the summit, meaning a large volume of magma exited the system rapidly during those 8.5 hours. That's why the fountains were so tall and so sustained. Second, seismicity. The earthquake pattern beneath Kilauea's summit tells scientists exactly where magma is moving. A swarm of small, shallow earthquakes often directly precedes a new eruptive episode. HVO is watching the seismic network continuously, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Third, SO2 emission rates. This is one of the most direct indicators of eruption intensity. Higher SO2 means more fresh, gas-rich magma is reaching the surface. HVO will be watching whether emission rates stay elevated between episodes or drop back down significantly. If they stay elevated, another powerful episode is likely building. Fourth, lava lake behavior inside Halema'uma'u. A stable lava lake acts as a pressure buffer for the system. An unstable or absent lake pushes energy toward these explosive episodic releases, exactly like what we saw in episode 44. So what should we realistically expect? More episodes. The geological evidence, the deformation data, the magma supply indicators, they all point to Kilauea being in an active and sustained eruptive phase with no signs of winding down. Whether episode 45 matches or exceeds episode 44, we cannot say yet. But what we can say with confidence is this: the magma is there. The pathway is open. And Kilauea has never, not once in its history, needed permission to erupt. So guys, let's bring this together. Episode 44, 8.5 hours of non-stop lava fountaining, 300-meter fountain heights, nearly 1,000 feet, Tephra raining down toward populated communities, dangerous SO2 and VOG levels affecting real residents right now. This is not Kilauea being dramatic for the first time. This is Kilauea doing what Kilauea does, but doing it with an intensity that tells us the magma supply driving this cycle is real, sustained, and not showing signs of stopping. And when you combine that with a community of real people living right there, people breathing this air every single day, people finding ash coating their cars in the morning, people hearing their mountain roar at 3 a.m., this stops being just a geology story. It becomes a story about humans living alongside one of the most powerful forces on this planet and asking themselves every single day, how long will this go on? And what happens when episode 45 comes? I will stay on the pulse of this for you. If HVO releases new data, you will know. If Fountain Heights break records, you will know. If there is any shift in the eruption pattern suggesting a new phase, you will hear it here first. Check the end screen for more videos on volcanic events happening right now across the Pacific Ring of Fire, because Kilauea is not the only thing moving out there right now. If you want to support the channel, the coffee link is in the description. I don't want to do a brand thing. Let's just keep it like that. Thank you to everyone watching, sharing, and leaving comments. It keeps this channel going. Stay safe, guys. Be aware. Bye-bye.